Chapter 1: The Awakening: Why Passive Income is the New Power. There comes a moment in every person's life when a quiet question begins to grow louder than the noise around them. A question that no paycheck, no promotion, and no amount of overtime can silence. The question is simple yet unsettling. Is this all there is? Wake up, work, get paid, pay bills, repeat. Year after year. Strong effort, limited freedom. Constant motion yet little control. This moment is the beginning of your awakening. Passive income is not just a financial concept. It is a shift in how you see life, time, and power. It is the realization that your life force, your hours, your energy, your health, is too valuable to be exchanged endlessly for money that disappears as fast as it comes. Passive income is the understanding that money should work for you the way you work for money now. Most people are trapped in a system that rewards activity, not ownership. You show up, you perform, you get compensated. When you stop showing up, the compensation stops too. This is active income. It is necessary, but it is limited. Passive income is different. Passive income continues to pay even when you are not present. It separates your survival from your time. And that separation is where freedom is born. The reason so few people ever build true passive income is not a lack of opportunity. It is a lack of awareness, patience, and correct thinking. Many people chase quick wins, shortcuts, and overnight success stories. But empires are not built overnight. They are built through small, deliberate steps that compound quietly over time. A passive income empire is not one stream of money. It is a structured system of assets that consistently generate cash flow with minimal dependence on your daily effort. It can include investments, businesses, digital assets, intellectual property, real estate, or automated systems. What unites all passive income streams is leverage, the ability to create once and earn repeatedly. The first mental shift you must make is this: you are not paid for your effort. You are paid for the value of what you control. Employees trade time. Owners control systems. Investors control capital. Creators control ideas. The higher you move along that ladder, the more freedom you gain. At the beginning of your journey, it may feel overwhelming. You may think you need large amounts of money, special connections, or rare skills. That is not true. What you need first is clarity. Clarity about where you are, where you want to go, and what you are willing to change. Passive income does not start with money. It starts with a decision, the decision to stop depending on a single source for your survival. Most people live with constant financial pressure because they only have one engine powering their life. When that engine fails, everything stops. A passive income empire is built by installing multiple engines. Some may be small at first, but their true power lies in their independence from your constant attention. Another hard truth you must accept early is that passive income is not passive in the beginning. There is always a phase of intense learning, building, testing, and refining. You will invest time before you ever see returns. You will face confusion before you find clarity. You will doubt before you gain confidence. This is normal. Every empire begins in uncertainty. What separates those who succeed from those who quit is patience paired with action. Dreamers imagine the result but avoid the work. Builders commit to the work even when the result is not yet visible. Passive income rewards builders. You must also detach from the idea that money is only earned through labor. Money can be earned through ownership, strategy, and systems. Once you accept this truth, your mind begins to search for leverage everywhere. You begin to see opportunities in problems, income in inefficiencies, and value in things others overlook. The path to passive income is not reserved for the rich. In fact, it is often built by ordinary people who were simply tired of being ordinary in their financial lives. Teachers have built rental empires. Drivers have built online businesses. Office workers have built investment portfolios. What they shared was not privilege, it was persistence. Your current financial situation does not define your future. It only defines your starting point. The empire you will build will rise from what you choose to do with what you already have. Your skills, your savings, your network, your time, and your mindset. One of the greatest dangers on this journey is impatience. Passive income grows through compounding. Compounding does not impress in the beginning. It feels slow, invisible, unrewarding. But time is not your enemy, it is your greatest ally. What grows slowly at first can grow explosively later. Many quit during the quiet phase, right before momentum begins. You must also understand that building a passive income empire will demand a new identity. You cannot think like a consumer while trying to become an owner. You cannot think like a spender while trying to become an investor. Every empire begins with an internal transformation before it ever becomes external. The moment you decide to build passive income, your relationship with money changes. You stop asking, "How can I spend this?" and start asking, "How can I grow this?" You stop chasing wages and start seeking leverage. You stop thinking in weeks and start thinking in decades. This shift will not always be comfortable. It will require you to delay gratification, to say no to short-term pleasures for long-term power, to invest where others indulge, to build while others consume, to plant while others harvest. But this is the price of independence. A passive income empire is not built to impress others. It is built to protect your future, give you choices, and free your time. It is built so that one day your lifestyle is no longer dictated by a schedule you do not control. It is built so that your family is protected, your stress is reduced, and your opportunities expand. This journey will test your discipline, your patience, and your belief in yourself. There will be moments when progress feels invisible. Moments when doubt speaks loudly. Moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. In those moments, you must remember why you started. You started because you wanted to escape the trap of trading your life for money. You started because you wanted security without dependence. You started because you wanted control over your future, not just survival in the present. This book will walk you through the exact principles, mindsets, and steps required to turn that desire into reality. You will learn how to think like an owner, build like a strategist, and grow like an investor. Step by step, layer by layer, you will learn how to construct an empire that pays you, not once but repeatedly. This first step is awareness. The next steps will be action. And from this moment forward, you are no longer just earning. You are building. Chapter 2: The Foundation of the Empire, Rewiring Your Money Mindset. Before any structure rises from the ground, its foundation must be solid. Without a strong foundation, even the most impressive building will eventually crack, sink, or collapse. The same truth applies to your passive income empire. Your mindset is the foundation. If it is weak, every strategy you attempt will eventually fail. If it is strong, even imperfect strategies can still succeed. Most people grow up with a survival-based money mindset. They are taught to work hard, be grateful for a paycheck, avoid risk, and hope for stability. While this thinking keeps you safe at a basic level, it also quietly cages your potential. It trains your brain to seek security over opportunity, comfort over leverage, and certainty over growth. To build a passive income empire, you must undergo a psychological shift. You must move from thinking like a worker to thinking like an owner. A worker asks, "How much do I get paid?" An owner asks, "How much does this produce?" A worker focuses on effort. An owner focuses on systems. A worker depends on permission. An owner creates permission for themselves. This shift does not happen overnight. It happens through repeated exposure to a new way of thinking. At first, the ideas may feel uncomfortable. Ownership may feel risky. Investing may feel confusing. Delayed gratification may feel unnatural. But discomfort is the sign that your old financial identity is being challenged. One of the most dangerous beliefs you must dismantle is the belief that working harder is the only path to financial success. Hard work is honorable, but it is not the same as strategic work. You can work relentlessly for decades and still remain financially fragile if your income never disconnects from your time. Passive income begins the moment your money continues to grow without your constant presence. Another belief you must release is the idea that you are not good with money. This is not a personality trait, it is a skill gap. And skill gaps can be closed. Every wealthy individual you admire once knew less than you know right now. They learned through repetition, mistakes, and persistence. The only people who remain bad with money are those who refuse to learn. You must also confront your emotional relationship with money. Many people see money as a source of stress, guilt, or fear. They avoid looking at their finances because it triggers anxiety. Others see money as a reward to be spent immediately because they associate it with pleasure and relief. Neither relationship supports empire building. An empire requires neutrality. Money must become a tool, not an emotional escape and not a source of shame. When you shift your relationship with money, your behavior changes. You move from reaction to intention. You stop spending to feel better in the moment and start deploying capital to feel stronger in the future. You begin to measure purchases not by desire but by return. You begin to feel more satisfaction in investing than in consuming. Another core shift is learning to think in terms of assets versus liabilities. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. Most people fill their lives with liabilities while calling them assets. Cars, expensive gadgets, luxury upgrades, and impulse purchases are often celebrated as progress, while they quietly drain long-term potential. Empire builders learn to prioritize what produces over what impresses. This does not mean you must eliminate enjoyment or live in deprivation. It means you choose your pleasure strategically. You enjoy what strengthens your future, not what weakens it. Every dollar becomes a decision about who you are becoming. You must also rewire how you think about time. Passive income demands patience. It demands the ability to sacrifice now for reward later. This is difficult in a world trained on instant gratification. But compounding only rewards those who stay in motion long enough. Those who expect quick results abandon the process right before the process begins to work. Think in years, not weeks. Think in decades, not months. Empires are not built on urgency. They are built on consistency. Another powerful mental shift is embracing responsibility. The moment you accept full responsibility for your financial future, you reclaim your power. You stop blaming the economy, your upbringing, your employer, or your circumstances. You begin asking better questions. What can I build? What can I learn? What can I do with what I already have? This mindset turns obstacles into raw material. You must also redefine risk. Most people avoid financial risk while unknowingly accepting life risk. They avoid investing but accept the risk of staying dependent on one job. They avoid building businesses but accept the risk of inflation eroding their savings. True risk is not action. True risk is inaction. Passive income builders understand that controlled, educated risk is not danger. It is the engine of progress. The identity you adopt on this journey matters deeply. You must begin to see yourself as a builder, not a bystander, as a creator, not merely a consumer. Every habit you form, every skill you acquire, every dollar you deploy should reinforce this identity. Over time, your actions will align automatically with who you believe you are. You will also need to develop mental resilience. There will be losses. There will be slow periods. There will be moments when your efforts seem pointless. Your old mindset will try to pull you back to immediate comfort. In those moments, discipline becomes more valuable than motivation. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline finishes it. One of the most liberating realizations you will make is that you do not need permission to build wealth. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need approval. You only need persistence and willingness to learn in public, fail forward, and adapt quickly. As your mindset evolves, so will your standards. You will become less impressed by short-term gains and more focused on long-term systems. You will stop seeking big wins and start seeking sustainable engines. You will stop chasing income and start building infrastructure. This chapter is not about tactics. It is about identity. Because no strategy will save a mindset locked in scarcity. And no obstacle can stop a mindset anchored in ownership. Your empire will not be built by money first. It will be built by thought first. And thought shapes behavior. And behavior shapes destiny. Chapter 3: Building the First Engine. Turning active income into investment power. Every passive income empire begins with an unglamorous truth. Before money works for you, you must first make money work differently. There is no escaping this phase. No matter how powerful your long-term vision is, your empire needs fuel. That fuel is your first pool of capital, and for most people, it is built from active income. Your job, your business, your hustle, whatever currently pays you, is not your prison. It is your launch pad. The mistake most people make is treating active income as an end instead of a beginning. They spend it as fast as it arrives. They upgrade their life before they upgrade their systems. They reward consumption before they reward construction. And in doing so, they stay trapped in the very cycle they claim they want to escape. Empire builders treat active income differently. They see it as raw material, as seed money, as the first engine that will one day be replaced but must first be maximized. The purpose of active income at this stage is not comfort. It is conversion. You are converting time into capital. You are converting effort into leverage. You are converting wages into ownership. This requires a disciplined redefinition of how you handle money. The moment your income arrives, it must be given an assignment. Every dollar without an assignment will find one on its own, and it will usually be assigned to convenience or impulse rather than growth. You must adopt a simple rule early: pay your future before you pay your present. This means investing first, then spending what remains. Not the other way around. Most people invest only if something is left. Empire builders invest because something must be built. This is where budgeting becomes a weapon instead of a restriction. A budget is not a tool of limitation. It is a map of power. It tells your money where to go instead of asking later where it went. It transforms chaos into direction. With a clear budget, you begin to see the hidden leaks in your financial life, the silent expenses, the unnoticed subscriptions, the emotional purchases that quietly delay your independence. The early phase of empire building often feels slow and even discouraging. You invest small amounts. Returns seem negligible. Progress feels invisible. But beneath the surface, something critical is happening. You are building the habit of deployment. You are training yourself to move money strategically instead of emotionally. This habit, more than the size of your initial investments, will determine your long-term success. What matters most in the beginning is not how much you invest, but how consistently you invest. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates scale. Another mistake beginners make is waiting for enough money before starting. Enough never comes. There will always be another bill, another responsibility, another reason to delay. But passive income is not built through perfect timing. It is built through imperfect beginnings. The first small step is what breaks inertia. Once money is in motion, it becomes easier to keep it moving. You must also understand that your first investments are not primarily about profit. They are about education. You will learn more from moving $100 into an investment than from reading 10 books about investing. You will learn how markets fluctuate, how emotions rise and fall, how patience is tested, how fear and greed compete inside you. These lessons cannot be learned in theory. They must be experienced. Losses in the beginning are not failures. They are tuition. And tuition is far cheaper when your position size is small. Your goal in this phase is to stay in the game long enough to develop judgment. Judgment is what separates gamblers from builders. Judgment is what allows you to recognize quality opportunities, avoid obvious traps, and allocate capital with clarity instead of hype. As you build your first engine, you must also increase the flow of fuel. This means upgrading your earning power. The fastest way to accelerate passive income is not always through better investments. It is often through higher income. Skills compound just like money. A new certification, a valuable technical skill, a high-demand trade, or an income-producing talent can multiply your capital base far faster than small investment returns alone. Empire builders are relentless students of leverage. They look for ways to be paid more for the same effort or the same pay for less effort. They upgrade themselves continuously. They understand that your mind is your first asset, and your skill set is your second. Another critical principle in this phase is expense compression. This does not mean extreme deprivation. It means removing what does not serve the build. Every unnecessary expense eliminated becomes a soldier in your financial army. Small savings, when redirected into investments, become long-term reinforcements you feel for decades. You are not becoming cheap. You are becoming strategic. You are not sacrificing joy. You are delaying it with interest. At this stage, it is also important to ignore noise. Social media will tempt you with fantasies of overnight wealth. Friends may not understand why you are working so hard for the future. Family may question your caution. You must develop the ability to operate without external validation. Empire building is often lonely in the beginning because the results lag far behind the effort. But this loneliness is temporary. The freedom it buys is permanent. The conversion phase, turning active income into passive foundations, is where most people quit. Not because it is impossible, but because it is invisible. There are no headlines for discipline. No applause for restraint. No trophies for focus. Yet this is the phase where your entire future is quietly determined. Every investment you make now is a vote for the life you want later. Every reckless expense is a vote for the life you will remain trapped in. You must decide what future you are voting for. As your first engine grows, even slowly, something powerful will happen. You will begin to feel a subtle shift in control. Your money will no longer feel static. It will feel alive, moving, working. This psychological shift is enormous. It is the moment you stop feeling like a victim of the system and start feeling like a participant in a different game. And that shift changes everything. Chapter 4. Choosing the right passive income vehicle, where your empire truly begins. Once your mindset is rewired and your first engine of capital is in motion, the next critical decision confronts you. Where will you place your money so it can begin working without your constant presence? This decision is not about chasing trends or copying what others are doing. It is about alignment between your goals, your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and your temperament. Every passive income empire is built on vehicles. These vehicles are not miracles. They are structures. Systems that convert capital into cash flow. Some grow slowly and steadily. Others surge and collapse. Your task is not to find perfection. Your task is to find sustainability. The biggest mistake beginners make at this stage is confusing popularity with reliability. They rush toward whatever is being talked about the most. A hot stock. A viral business model. A new platform promising fast returns. What they are really chasing is validation, the comfort of moving with the crowd. But crowds do not build empires. They create bubbles. The right passive income vehicle is not the one that sounds exciting. It is the one that can survive boredom, downturns, and long periods without attention. It is the one that continues to function even when you are tired, distracted, or discouraged. Before choosing any vehicle, you must answer 3 deeply personal questions. How much risk can I emotionally tolerate without panicking? How long can I wait before seeing meaningful results? How involved do I want to be after the foundation is built? Your answers determine everything. Some vehicles demand high patience but low daily involvement. Others demand high involvement but shorter timelines. Some are stable but slow. Some are fast but fragile. There is no universal best choice. There is only the best choice for who you are right now. One of the most misunderstood ideas in passive income is that it is completely effortless. In truth, most passive vehicles are front-loaded with effort and back-loaded with freedom. You build first. You struggle first. You invest first. Then, only after systems mature, does the income become passive. This is why so many quit too early. They mistake the construction phase for failure. You must learn to distinguish building work from maintenance work. Building requires focus, learning, mistakes, and persistence. Maintenance requires monitoring, adjusting, and protecting. True passivity exists mostly in the maintenance phase. But without devotion to the build phase, that phase never arrives. Another crucial truth: you do not build your empire with one vehicle. You build it in layers. One stabilizes you. Another accelerates you. Another protects you. Each plays a role. The danger lies in putting all your hopes into a single structure. No matter how strong it appears, a single pillar will always be vulnerable. Diversification is not just a strategy, it is a form of humility. It is the acknowledgement that you cannot predict the future, so you prepare for multiple versions of it. When evaluating any passive income vehicle, you must look past the marketing and into the mechanics. Ask, where does the money really come from? Who is paying? Why are they paying? What problem is being solved? What happens if demand drops? What happens if regulations change? What happens if competition explodes? If you cannot clearly trace how money flows from the source to your pocket, you do not yet understand the vehicle well enough to trust it with your future. This phase is not about speed. It is about selection. Many people rush into the wrong vehicle because they fear missing out. They believe opportunity is rare. In truth, opportunity is constant. What is rare is patience. There will always be new trends, new platforms, new angles. But your capital is finite. You must protect it long enough for it to multiply. You are not building income for this month. You are building income for decades. A powerful principle to adopt here is this: start simple before you start scalable. Complex systems are harder to manage, easier to break, and more emotionally draining. Simplicity creates consistency. Consistency creates compounding. You do not need a massive portfolio to begin. You need a functional one. One that works. One that teaches you. One that grows slowly but predictably. Scale comes later. Stability comes first. Another hidden danger at this stage is perfection paralysis. Many people study endlessly but never act because they are waiting for full certainty. Full certainty never comes. You reduce risk by understanding, not by waiting forever. The goal is not to eliminate uncertainty but to make it manageable. At some point, you must step from preparation into participation. You will feel fear when you do. That fear does not mean danger. It means you are moving beyond the familiar. Every builder feels it. Those who succeed learn to move with fear rather than wait for it to disappear. You must also learn to separate speculation from investment. Speculation depends on price movement. Investment depends on value production. Speculation is driven by hope. Investment is driven by structure. Speculation seeks fast money. Investment seeks durable money. An empire is not built on guessing. It is built on cash flow. Another critical factor is control versus convenience. Some vehicles give you high control but require management. Others offer convenience but little control. Control allows customization and protection. Convenience allows scale with minimal effort. As a builder, you will likely move along this spectrum over time. Early on, control often teaches you more. Later, convenience preserves your time. Your first few vehicles are not meant to be perfect. They are meant to teach you how to think as an owner, how systems behave, how money flows, how leverage works, how patience feels, how small numbers slowly become meaningful. You must not measure success solely by income in the beginning. Measure it by stability, reliability, and what you are learning about yourself. If you can build one engine that produces consistently, even in small amounts, you have proven that you can replicate the process. And replication is the seed of empires. You will also discover that passive income does not eliminate work. It changes the nature of work. You stop trading hours for dollars and start trading design for durability. You work on systems instead of shifts. You work on structures instead of schedules. This form of work is less visible but far more powerful. The emotional shift can be uncomfortable. You may feel unproductive at times because growth is not immediately visible. This is when faith in structure must replace the addiction to instant results. You must trust the architecture you are building even while the floors are still empty. This is also where patience evolves into identity. You begin to see yourself not as someone chasing money, but as someone building machines that produce it. This identity shift changes how you move, how you decide, and how you endure. A final truth you must carry into this phase: your first vehicle does not define your final empire. It is simply your first teacher. Its purpose is not to make you rich overnight. Its purpose is to introduce you to leverage, discipline, and ownership. Some vehicles will outgrow you. Some will fail you. Some will surprise you. Each will shape your judgment. Judgment, more than luck, more than timing, more than capital, is what ultimately determines whether your empire survives. As you choose your first real passive income vehicle, choose with humility, not hype. With patience, not pressure. With structure, not speculation. Remember that you are not placing a bet. You are laying the first stone of something that must last. Chapter 5: Building Systems That Run Without You. At this stage of your journey, something crucial must change. If your passive income vehicles still depend entirely on your constant attention, you have not yet built an empire, you have only created additional jobs. True freedom does not come from having many income sources. It comes from having systems that operate whether you are watching them or not. A system is simply a repeatable process that produces a predictable result. When systems are strong, income becomes consistent. When systems are weak, income becomes fragile. Most people chase profits without first building processes that can sustain those profits. That is why their success collapses under pressure. Your goal now is to remove yourself from the center of every operation. In the beginning, you must touch everything. You must understand every moving part. You must struggle through setup, mistakes, inefficiencies, and learning curves. But if you remain permanently embedded in every task, you will eventually become the bottleneck that limits your own growth. Empires do not grow through heroic effort. They grow through invisible structure. Every time you find yourself repeating the same task, asking the same question, or fixing the same problem, that is a signal. A system is missing. Documentation becomes power at this stage. Write down what works. Track what fails. Create routines that are written, not remembered. Memory is unreliable. Systems are dependable. Once your processes exist outside your head, they can be improved, delegated, duplicated, and automated. Automation is not about laziness. It is about redeploying your attention to higher value decisions. When machines handle the predictable, your mind becomes free for strategy, expansion, and foresight. You also begin to understand the difference between movement and progress. You can stay busy all day inside your business and still move nowhere. Systems force clarity. They expose inefficiencies. They reveal where energy is being wasted. They transform scattered effort into directed momentum. A powerful shift occurs when you stop asking, "What should I work on today?" and instead ask, "What system needs strengthening right now?" This single change elevates you from operator to architect. Another truth about systems is that they do not eliminate failure, they contain it. When a single person manages everything, one mistake can collapse the entire structure. When systems exist, mistakes are isolated, corrected, and absorbed without destroying the whole. This is what makes large-scale operations possible. Your income vehicles must eventually become predictable. Not necessarily large. Predictable. Predictability is what allows projection. Projection is what allows scale. You cannot grow what you cannot measure. Tracking is essential here. You must know what goes in, what comes out, what grows, and what decays. Numbers are not your enemy. They are your feedback system. They tell you whether your structures are working or silently failing. Many people avoid tracking because numbers feel overwhelming or threatening. But ignorance is far more dangerous than clarity. What you do not monitor will eventually control you. You are not building income for excitement. You are building income for endurance. Another cornerstone of system building is redundancy. Critical operations must never depend on a single point of failure. If one platform shuts down, another must exist. If one supplier disappears, an alternative must be ready. If one income stream slows, another must hold the structure upright. Redundancy feels inefficient to the impatient mind. But to the empire builder, redundancy is insurance. This is also the phase where scale becomes possible. A process that works for one client, one product, or one transaction can now be expanded to 10, 100, or 1,000. But this only works if the underlying structure can withstand pressure. Without systems, growth becomes chaos. With systems, growth becomes multiplication. You may feel an internal conflict here. Part of you still seeks control. The other part seeks freedom. You will feel tempted to do everything yourself because it feels safer. But safety through control is an illusion. True safety is created through structure. Delegation is the bridge between effort and freedom. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You will believe no one can do things as well as you. That belief may be temporarily true and permanently dangerous. Teaching others, trusting processes, and allowing imperfect execution is the price of scale. You must accept this reality. If you remain indispensable to every function, your empire will never outgrow you. You are not meant to be the engine forever. You are meant to be the designer of engines. Systems also protect you from burnout. When income depends on your constant decision-making, your nervous system remains under perpetual pressure. Over time, clarity declines, errors increase, and motivation fractures. Systems reduce cognitive load. They allow your mind to rest without your income collapsing. This is real freedom. At this level, discipline becomes structural instead of emotional. You are no longer relying on motivation to keep things running. Your systems operate regardless of how you feel on a given day. This is the transition from willpower to architecture. There will be resistance here. You will sometimes miss the adrenaline of constant involvement. You will feel detached at times. This is natural. You are shifting from performer to director, from builder to strategist, from labor to leverage. Your role is evolving, and with that evolution comes unfamiliar quiet. Do not mistake quiet for stagnation. The most powerful growth often happens without noise. A properly built system may not feel dramatic, may feel boring, stable, repetitive. But beneath that calm surface, momentum is accumulating. Small, consistent returns stack. Small efficiencies multiply. Tiny optimizations compound. This is how empires grow without spectacle. You must also begin to plan for maintenance, not just creation. Systems require reinforcement. They require updates. They require protection from entropy. What you neglect will decay. What you inspect will improve. Schedule time not only to build but to strengthen what already exists. Strength is not only expansion. Strength is preservation. As your systems begin to operate with less of your direct involvement, you will feel a new kind of confidence. It does not come from effort. It comes from structure. You will realize that your income is no longer tied to your energy level. It is tied to architecture. Architecture outlives effort. This is the turning point where passive income begins to truly feel passive. Not because nothing is required of you, but because what is required is now strategic, not constant. You are no longer chasing money. You are orchestrating flow. And once flow is established, your role becomes one of expansion, protection, and vision. Chapter 6: Protecting the Empire, Risk, Stability, and Survival. Building income is only half the mission. The other half, the part most people ignore until it is too late, is protection. History is full of people who made money quickly and lost it even faster. Not because they were foolish builders but because they were careless guardians. Wealth creation without wealth protection is like filling a bucket with holes in it. No matter how fast you pour, it will never stay full. At this stage of your passive income journey, your responsibility shifts. You are no longer just a creator of income. You are now a protector of capital, structure, and momentum. Your empire is no longer fragile because it is small. It is fragile because it is exposed. Risk is not the enemy. Unmanaged risk is. Every income stream you build carries risk: platform risk, market risk, legal risk, technological risk, and human risk. Ignoring these risks does not make you brave. It makes you vulnerable. The goal is not to eliminate risk completely. The goal is to understand it, price it, and control it. The first principle of protection is diversification. Your income, your platforms, your suppliers, and even your customer base should never be concentrated in one place. When everything depends on one source, one algorithm change, one legal shift, one supplier collapse can erase years of work. Diversification is not about chasing random opportunities. It is about strategic dispersion. Your income should come from multiple channels that are not directly correlated. When one slows down, another should remain stable. This creates resilience. Resilience is what allows you to sleep at night. The second principle is legal and structural protection. As your income grows, informal arrangements become dangerous. Verbal agreements fail. Undefined ownership creates conflict. Side hustles that once felt harmless become liabilities when money scales. This is the point where formalization becomes essential. Clear agreements. Proper registration where required. Separation between personal finances and business finances. These structures are not bureaucracy, they are shields. You do not secure the gate after the invaders arrive. You secure it before they test it. Another silent threat to growing wealth is lifestyle inflation. As income rises, spending often rises faster. People reward themselves prematurely, turning future freedom into present consumption. They confuse progress with permission. Luxury before stability is a trap. Every increase in income should first strengthen your foundation before it improves your comfort. The order matters. First, emergency reserves. then reinvestment, then diversification. Only then should excess be used for lifestyle upgrades. This discipline is what separates temporary wealth from permanent wealth. Cash reserves are not idle money. They are strategic ammunition. They protect you from forced decisions. They allow you to survive loss, seize opportunity, and maintain leverage during downturns. The person with reserves chooses. The person without reserves reacts. And reactions are always expensive. Another form of protection is information control. You must know what is shifting in your environment. Market trends, regulatory changes, platform policies, consumer behavior, and emerging competition. Blindness is not innocent. It is lethal in business. You do not need to chase every news update. You need reliable signals. A few trusted sources. Consistent review. Periodic reassessment of your assumptions. What worked yesterday may decay quietly tomorrow. Protection also extends inward, to your decision-making quality. As your income grows, so does the complexity of your choices. More money invites more temptation. Speculative deals, emotional investments, status-driven purchases, and rushed partnerships. Impulse destroys more wealth than bad markets ever will. You must learn to pause before scaling, to verify before committing, to separate excitement from strategy. The larger the decision, the slower you should move. Speed builds. Patience preserves. Human risk is another threat rarely discussed. Partners can change. Contractors can disappear. Key people can burn out, quit, or act against your interests. If critical knowledge or access is concentrated in one individual, your system is fragile. This is why documentation, access controls, backups, and role separation are not optional. They are protective measures. Every critical function should be replaceable without collapsing the system. Trust is important. Structure is essential. You must also plan for external shocks, economic downturns, platform bans, supply chain disruptions, and sudden drops in demand. These events are not anomalies. They are cycles. Those who survive are not those who predict them perfectly, but those who prepare for their inevitability. Your systems must be stress-tested mentally. Ask yourself, what breaks if revenue drops by 30%? What collapses if one platform disappears? What survives if clients slow payment? These are not pessimistic questions. They are protective questions. They reveal weak points while you still have time to reinforce them. Another layer of protection is emotional discipline. Fear and greed are the two forces that destroy most empires. Fear causes premature withdrawal. Greed causes reckless expansion. Both distort judgment. Your advantage will always come from clarity under pressure. As your empire grows, you will be tested, not only by markets but by your own psychology. The ability to remain steady while others panic is a skill that compounds just like money. Protection also means protecting yourself, your energy, your focus, your health, and your time. An exhausted builder makes poor decisions. A distracted builder misses threats. A burned-out builder abandons structures that still had potential. Your body and mind are part of the asset base. If you collapse, your systems will follow. At this level, wealth becomes less about growth speed and more about survival through volatility. Anyone can grow during favorable conditions. Few can endure during contraction. The survivors inherit the market when others retreat. The goal is not just to become rich in good times. The goal is to remain standing in bad times. True financial maturity is reached when you stop asking, "How much can I make?" and begin asking, "How long can this last under pressure?" That shift is the birth of an empire mindset. Chapter 7: Scaling the Empire. Multiplying income without multiplying stress. Once your systems are in place and your capital is protected, the next challenge is scaling. Growth is seductive. It promises faster freedom, larger wealth, and more influence. Yet scaling without discipline is the fastest way to collapse. The difference between expansion that empowers and expansion that destroys lies in intentional, structured growth. Scaling an empire is not about working harder. It is about working smarter. It is about identifying leverage points, the places where a small input produces a large output. These points are often hidden beneath the surface of everyday operations, waiting for clarity to reveal them. Recognizing and activating them multiplies results without multiplying stress. The first step in scaling is clarity of metrics. You cannot scale what you do not measure. Every system, every vehicle, every investment must have key indicators of performance. How much is coming in? How much is going out? Which components are bottlenecks? Which generate the highest return for the lowest effort? Without clear data, scaling is guesswork, and guesswork kills empires. Next is delegation with accountability. Scaling requires more hands, eyes, and minds than you can provide alone. But adding people haphazardly creates confusion, inefficiency, and conflict. Each team member or external partner must have a clear role, responsibilities, and measurable outcomes. Systems should guide them, not constant supervision. This is where true leadership is exercised, designing structures that function independently while holding them accountable. Automation is another critical lever. Many builders underestimate the power of automating repetitive tasks. From accounting to marketing to client communication, the technology exists to handle thousands of tasks without daily intervention. Automation reduces errors, preserves energy, and ensures consistency, all while freeing your mind for strategic decisions that truly move the empire forward. Another key principle is replication. If one system works well for one market, one product, or one client, ask, can it be duplicated elsewhere? Replication is how small wins become exponential. You are not constantly inventing new engines. You are multiplying proven engines. Replication scales results while minimizing risk. However, scaling also magnifies weaknesses. A small leak becomes a flood. A minor inefficiency becomes a bottleneck. A weak team member becomes a liability. This is why the foundation must be bulletproof before expansion. Never scale faster than your systems, people, and capital can sustain. Patience in the early phase ensures stability later. Emotional control becomes critical at this stage. Growth triggers excitement, envy, and fear. You may be tempted to chase every new opportunity or compare yourself to other empires. Discipline requires focus on your plan, ignoring distractions, and acting only when strategy aligns with your long-term vision. Impulsive scaling is a common route to collapse. Controlled scaling is how legacies are built. Another secret of effective scaling is layered growth. Do not attempt to multiply everything at once. Focus on one lever at a time, one system, one income stream, one market. Optimize it. Stabilize it. Then move to the next. Layered growth builds compounding momentum while preserving stability. Resource allocation is also vital. Every additional unit of growth requires investment, time, money, or energy. The key question is, which allocations produce the highest return for the empire? Empire builders become ruthless in directing resources to areas with the greatest long-term impact. Waste is a silent killer of scale. Scaling also means planning for resilience. Larger operations face more variables: regulations, competitors, market shifts, team dynamics. You must stress test your systems, creating contingency plans and backup resources. Redundancy and safety nets are not signs of caution, they are signs of strength. Every empire that grows beyond its founder depends on layers of resilience. An overlooked aspect of scaling is maintaining culture and values. As you add people, products, or markets, it becomes easy to compromise the principles that made your systems effective. Culture is the glue that holds expansion together. Clear values, documented processes, and intentional leadership ensure that growth does not erode the empire's identity. Scaling also demands continuous learning. Every expansion introduces new challenges, markets, and competitors. Your mind must stay adaptable. You must study trends, absorb feedback, and iterate on processes. The empire evolves only as fast as its architect. Stagnation at the top is often fatal. Perhaps the most powerful principle of scaling is leverage. Leverage exists in many forms: financial, technological, social, and intellectual. Smart use of leverage allows you to achieve exponentially more than your personal effort could ever produce. The key is controlling the risk that comes with leverage. Overextension is the fastest path from empire to crisis. Finally, remember that scaling is not about ego. The goal is not to be bigger for the sake of being bigger. It is to increase stability, freedom, and long-term wealth. Growth should serve the empire, not the ego of its builder. Those who forget this lesson often collapse under the weight of their own ambition. The journey from building systems to scaling the empire transforms your role. You move from operator to designer, from laborer to strategist, from participant to conductor of a complex, self-sustaining orchestra. The empire is no longer something you maintain alone. It is a living structure, resilient, expanding, and compounding. Chapter 8: Strategic Alliances, Multiplying Power Through Networks. By now, your empire has grown beyond a single engine. Your systems operate independently. Your income streams are protected, stable, and multiplying. You have mastered scaling without chaos. Yet there is a secret force that separates the wealthy from the truly elite: strategic alliances. No empire is built in isolation. Every significant leap in history, from empires of nations to empires of business, relied on networks of trust, influence, and collaboration. The power of one is limited. The power of many, aligned toward a common purpose, is exponential. Strategic alliances are not merely partnerships. They are multipliers. They allow you to achieve outcomes that would be impossible alone. They provide access to resources, markets, skills, and capital that you cannot generate on your own. Yet alliances are also delicate. Poorly chosen, they can destroy years of progress. The first principle of alliances is alignment of values and vision. Collaborators must share core principles and long-term goals. Misalignment leads to friction, conflict, and slow attrition of resources. Alignment does not mean identical methods but complementary purpose. You are seeking partners who extend your capabilities, not compete with your identity. Next is mutual benefit. Every alliance must create value for all parties. Partnerships built on one-sided gain are fragile and often exploitative. Successful alliances multiply benefits, not just profits. When each participant prospers, the relationship strengthens and endures. Trust is the foundation. Trust is earned, not assumed. It is demonstrated through consistency, transparency, and integrity. Once broken, trust can rarely be fully restored. In empire building, trust is not abstract. It is operational. It determines who you can delegate, who can access your systems, and who can co-invest in ventures without constant oversight. Another crucial principle is complementary skill sets. Alliances thrive when each party brings unique expertise. Your strength is another's weakness. Your partner's knowledge fills gaps in your own. Together, you form a system stronger than the sum of its parts. This is leverage in human form. Networks extend beyond formal partnerships. They include mentors, advisors, peers, and even competitors. Every connection is a potential resource, lesson, or opportunity. Cultivating relationships requires reciprocity, generosity, and authenticity. Influence is not taken, it is given. The more value you provide to your network, the more your empire benefits in return. One overlooked aspect of strategic alliances is information access. Partners provide insights and intelligence you cannot see alone. They reveal market trends, regulatory shifts, or hidden opportunities. In the age of rapid change, information is leverage. Timely knowledge can save or make millions. Communication is the lifeblood of alliances. Clear expectations, open channels, and regular feedback prevent misunderstandings and maintain cohesion. Alliances are living structures. They require care, attention, and adaptation. Neglect can turn them into liabilities. Boundaries are equally important. Strategic alliances should never compromise your core systems, values, or independence. Protect your autonomy while engaging collaboratively. A true alliance amplifies your power, it does not consume it. Timing also plays a role. Alliances are most powerful when introduced after your systems are mature. If your structures are weak, partnerships can magnify weaknesses instead of strengths. A fledgling operation may appear attractive to potential partners, but without stability, it risks collapse under the weight of new commitments. Another key principle is scalability. The alliance should not be limited to a single transaction or project. The best partnerships provide frameworks that allow repeated collaboration, expansion, and compounding growth over time. One strong relationship can yield multiple streams of opportunity. Negotiation is a critical skill here. Empire builders understand that negotiation is not about extracting maximum gain from others. It is about creating a structure that maximizes mutual long-term benefit. Win-win agreements are durable. Zero-sum agreements breed conflict and eventual dissolution. Conflict management is another essential aspect. Disagreements are inevitable. The goal is not to avoid conflict entirely, but to resolve it without compromising the alliance's integrity. Emotional intelligence, patience, and focus on shared goals prevent small disputes from becoming catastrophic rifts. You must also recognize when an alliance has run its course. Not all relationships last forever. Markets change, strategies evolve, and priorities shift. Ending an unproductive partnership is not failure, it is strategic realignment. Preserve dignity, maintain goodwill, and extract lessons for future alliances. Empires are multiplied when systems, capital, and human networks interact. A single well-chosen alliance can deliver exponential returns by opening new markets, providing scarce resources, and sharing risks. This is leverage on a scale far beyond individual effort. Finally, strategic alliances reinforce one of the most important truths of wealth building. You do not succeed alone. Humility, generosity, and vision allow you to attract the right people, while diligence and integrity allow you to maintain these connections under pressure. When your systems run independently and your alliances function synergistically, your empire achieves a rare state: momentum that compounds without constant effort. Decisions become clearer, risks become manageable, and opportunities multiply faster than your individual capacity. Chapter 9: The Psychology of Wealth. Thinking like the elite. By this stage, your passive income systems are operating efficiently, your empire is scaling, and your alliances are multiplying your influence. Yet all the systems, structures, and partnerships in the world are powerless if your mindset remains ordinary. Wealth is not created by transactions alone. It is crafted in the mind first. The elite understand this, and you must too. The first principle of elite thinking is long-term perspective. Most people operate in months, weeks, or even days. The wealthy think in decades. Every decision, every investment, every partnership is weighed against its long-term impact. Impulse spending, short-term trends, and instant gratification are seen as threats to durable growth. When you think like this, patience becomes a strategic advantage. Another core trait is risk comprehension. The elite are not reckless, they are calculated. They understand probability, consequence, and upside before committing capital or effort. Fear does not paralyze them because it is guided by logic. Greed does not blind them because it is moderated by discipline. They embrace risk, but always on terms they can control. A critical mindset shift is viewing money as a tool, not a goal. The wealthy do not chase cash for the sake of consumption. They deploy it to build systems, influence, and freedom. Money becomes a lever, a means to create more value, not a trophy for validation. This perspective transforms how you invest, spend, and save, turning every dollar into an agent of growth. The elite also think in terms of value creation, not just wealth accumulation. They ask, what problem can I solve? Rather than how much can I make? Income follows value. Systems thrive when they produce more for others than they consume for yourself. This focus on contribution over extraction is a fundamental differentiator. Control over emotions is another hallmark. Most financial mistakes are emotional, not analytical. Fear causes panic selling. Overconfidence causes reckless buying. The wealthy develop emotional resilience, allowing them to act deliberately under pressure. They respond rather than react to market swings, setbacks, and opportunities. Compound thinking is equally crucial. The elite understand that small advantages, repeated consistently, create massive results. Compounding is not only financial, it is behavioral, strategic, and relational. Systems, habits, relationships, and knowledge all compound over time, multiplying outcomes far beyond what immediate effort suggests. Another subtle trait is the comfort with discomfort. Building and preserving wealth involves difficult choices, delayed gratification, and periods of uncertainty. Ordinary minds seek comfort and avoid challenge. Elite minds embrace temporary discomfort for permanent advantage. They recognize that most people quit precisely when momentum begins to form. They also understand opportunity and constraints. Where others see barriers, they see leverage. Regulations, market shifts, technological changes, and competition are navigated strategically rather than feared. Obstacles become catalysts for innovation. The elite think in systems, not events. They measure success not by isolated wins, but by durable processes that produce repeated, predictable outcomes. Luck may influence events, but systems secure long-term dominance. Income, influence, and freedom are byproducts of robust, repeatable structures. Financial literacy is treated as a continual process. The wealthy constantly expand their knowledge of markets, tax strategies, investments, and global trends. They anticipate shifts, adapt, and position themselves ahead of the majority. Knowledge, in their view, is as valuable as capital because it directs the use of resources effectively. Equally important is network leverage. The elite recognize that influence and connections can multiply capital faster than effort alone. They build relationships intentionally, seek mentorship, and invest in people who accelerate their vision. Social capital becomes an extension of their financial capital. They also adopt ownership mentality. They avoid playing small or outsourcing responsibility. They focus on controlling assets, intellectual property, and decisions. Responsibility is empowering, not burdensome. Control allows them to protect gains, reinvest strategically, and shape outcomes proactively. Another critical mindset is fear of mediocrity. The elite are uncomfortable with stagnation. They constantly seek growth, knowledge, and optimization. This drives consistent action, risk management, and strategic innovation. Complacency is the enemy, incremental improvement is the norm. Finally, they practice gratitude paired with ambition. They recognize the privilege of opportunity while relentlessly pursuing improvement. This balance keeps ego in check, prevents burnout, and fosters better judgment. Gratitude stabilizes emotions. Ambition drives results. In practical terms, adopting this psychology requires daily reinforcement. Habits, reading, journaling, reflection, and immersion in environments that encourage elite thinking shape your mind to think beyond scarcity and distraction. The mind becomes your most valuable asset because it directs every other resource. By integrating these principles into your thinking, your decisions become deliberate rather than reactive, your wealth becomes durable rather than fleeting, and your empire grows steadily rather than chaotically. The psychology of wealth is the final, invisible system that underpins everything else you've built. Chapter 10, Leaving a Legacy, Building Wealth That Outlasts You. By now, you have built income streams that run on autopilot, systems that operate independently, and alliances that multiply your influence. You understand how to scale and protect your empire, and your mindset has aligned with the psychology of wealth. Yet the ultimate test of financial mastery is legacy, the ability to create something that continues to thrive long after you step away. Legacy is not about ego, titles, or recognition. It is about durable impact. It is about building structures, relationships, and wealth that empower others and persist across generations. When you think about wealth purely as personal comfort, it has a limited horizon. When you think about legacy, your wealth becomes timeless. The first step in building a legacy is clarity of purpose. Ask yourself, what do you want to endure beyond your lifetime? This could be your business, intellectual property, community impact, or family prosperity. Without a clear vision, your efforts risk being scattered and ephemeral. Purpose aligns your systems, investments, and strategies toward enduring outcomes. Next is succession planning. The most successful empires fail when leadership is absent or unprepared. Whether passing wealth to family, partners, or trusted executives, clarity and structure are essential. Define roles, responsibilities, and contingencies. Teach successors not just what to do but why it matters. Knowledge transfer is the currency of longevity. A lasting legacy also depends on institutionalization of systems. Your personal effort cannot scale indefinitely, but a well-architected system can. Automate, document, and standardize every process so that the enterprise functions independently of your direct oversight. Systems become the invisible pillars that hold your empire upright long after you step aside. Investments should be chosen with longevity in mind. Diversify across assets, industries, and geographies. Focus on durability over short-term returns. Income streams that withstand volatility and economic cycles are more likely to sustain your legacy than flashy, high-risk ventures. The goal is not to maximize today's profit, but to create structures that compound value over decades. Culture and values are equally critical. Money and systems can be replicated, but values, honesty, discipline, vision, and integrity shape the behavior of those who inherit your empire. Embed these principles into training, policies, and mentorship. The character of your organization or family is the most enduring part of any legacy. Philanthropy and influence also play a role. True wealth transcends personal accumulation, it uplifts others. Investing in education, community development, or causes aligned with your values extends your impact beyond financial gain. The elite view legacy as a combination of wealth, influence, and the lives touched by their decisions. Risk management becomes even more essential at this stage. Protecting your legacy means preparing for uncertainty. Legal challenges, market changes, personal loss, or external shocks. Insurance, diversification, and contingency planning are not optional, they are the safety nets that ensure your empire survives beyond you. The psychology of legacy requires discipline, patience, and perspective. Many people fail to plan beyond the immediate horizon, assuming wealth will naturally persist. But without deliberate action, empires crumble. Legacy thinking requires seeing your life and resources as part of a continuum, where every decision contributes to a larger, enduring structure. Mentorship is another tool for legacy building. Teach and guide the next generation. Share the lessons you have learned from both failure and success. Influence others to adopt systems, habits, and mindsets that allow them to thrive. In doing so, your knowledge compounds and your impact multiplies. Leaving a legacy is not passive. It is a strategic extension of all the work you've done. Every system built, every alliance formed, and every mindset cultivated contributes to something far larger than yourself. Wealth becomes not just a measure of what you hold, but what you leave behind. Finally, understand that legacy is dynamic. It is living, evolving, and responsive to the people and systems it touches. You do not simply hand over an empire, you guide it into maturity, shaping the framework for sustained growth and influence. The ultimate goal is to ensure that the structures you have built are self-sustaining, adaptable, and resilient for generations. Legacy is freedom magnified. It is the embodiment of vision, discipline, and foresight. When you leave a legacy, you achieve the highest purpose of wealth: impact that endures, influence that shapes lives, and freedom that transcends a single lifetime. Now is the time to ask yourself, what will your empire leave behind? Every action you take today builds tomorrow's foundation. Commit to creating not just wealth but enduring value, a legacy that echoes far beyond your own presence. Begin today. Document your systems, educate your successors, diversify your assets, and clarify your vision. Treat every decision as a brick in the foundation of your lasting legacy. The empire you build now has the potential to endure for decades, creating freedom, stability, and impact for generations to come. Take control of your legacy, start building it today.